He made some very, very interesting comments. He said, there are entertainers and there are competitors, and my job is to compete.
Right.
He tried to clarify later at the presser, saying he meant the media are the entertainers and a competitor, and he's a competitor, and he wasn't taking a shot at Shedeur, but the damage was done. Everybody knows what he meant by that, because you know why? I'm going to let you take off. You remember at Oregon, what the head coach said when they played Colorado?
Right.
Who was the quarterback?
Yeah.
Who was the quarterback?
Okay.
Dillon Gabriel may have just pulled off the boldest move of the season, and it didn't even happen on the field. His shot at Shedeur Sanders has fans calling it pure disrespect. This wasn't about rivalry, it felt personal, as if Gabriel woke up and decided to stir chaos. Social media is on fire, Sanders supporters are outraged, and many believe Gabriel might not be able to shake this one off anytime soon.
I disagree with you. I think he was taking a shot at Shedeur.
You think so?
When have we ever thought about the media, those beat writers as entertainers? We've heard his coach, he was on the team when he said they're celebs.
Wait, but you can't tie him and his coach together as if they have the same mind, as if they're one.
Name the time you've ever heard someone say there are entertainers and there are competitors, and I'm here to compete. Tell me the time.
Right. Okay. Listen. Let's say he's taking a shot at Shedeur, right? At what point has he been an entertainer? He's a football player as well.
But we've heard people say that's what he's more interested in doing.
Dillon Gabriel might have thought he was just stepping onto the football field, but in reality, he walked straight into the scene of his own public downfall. Let's be honest, going after Shedeur Sanders is like trying to arm wrestle a grizzly bear after mocking its mother. It never ends well. For Gabriel, it wrapped up like a failed TikTok trend, embarrassing, unnecessary, and endlessly replayed by people laughing at him, not with him.
Don't tell me Dillon Gabriel plays a half of football and then throws an absolute shot at Shedeur Sanders? 13 of 18, 143, one pick, 6, mind you. And he comes back to the podium, sideline interview, and says this: there's entertainers and there's competitors. And I understand that. But my job is to compete. I'm telling you right now, Shedeur Sanders is living clean.
This wasn't a heated rivalry moment. It was Gabriel deliberately taking a cheap shot at Shedeur, and the reaction was as if he'd kicked over the Pope's chair in the middle of a sermon. Football fans don't forget or forgive easily, and Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback, he's a phenomenon. He represents attention, ticket sales, and endless viral highlights. To disrespect him isn't just a bad move on the field, it's career suicide, with a side of internet humiliation.
But this is where it gets dicey. After he was ridiculed on social media, he now tried to take back his comments in his post-game press conference. He said, quote, "First off, I'm all about our team." And he said his entertainers competitors quote was in fact about the media, not anyone in particular. Now, first off, that I don't like. You made the comment, and that's okay. We need a little more of that in 2025. But if you're gonna say it, don't just walk it back 20 minutes later. Stand on business. And guess what? I got a message from Mr. Gabriel. I got news for you. Now that you made those comments, whether you meant them or not, you are officially an entertainer, my friend.
Imagine waking up and thinking, today feels like the perfect day to make the worst decision of my career. That was Dillon Gabriel. He had the chance to simply play the game, earn some respect, and walk away with dignity. Instead, he chose to burn his own reputation by going after Shedeur like he was auditioning for a WWE storyline. The problem? Shedeur doesn't even need to respond, his presence alone says it all, while Gabriel ends up drafting his own cancellation notice.
I don't think a college kid coming in as a rookie in the NFL would take that kind of shot at a teammate that he's competing with for a job. I just don't see. I don't see it. I see it as him when he says entertainers in that aspect where he said it's the media. I'm not sure how he views the media as the entertainers, but the way the media stirs the pot and creates the ruckus. And all he does is compete. I see it from that sense. I don't see him as, I'm not even sure if he's that type of person.
And the internet? Oh, it had a field day. Social media lit up, roasting Gabriel harder than a Thanksgiving turkey. Memes were everywhere. One showed him dressed as a WWE referee trying to throw shade at The Rock. Another had Shedeur calmly sipping tea with the caption, "This clown ain't serious." You know things are bad when you're trending not for touchdowns, not for stats, but simply for having the nerve to pick a fight with the Sanders empire.
From are entertainers, and you have a job to do, and I respect it, right? And I'm a competitor, so I have a job to do as well. And I think, just understanding that, that's how I've lived by, and I've said that multiple times. So
Shedeur isn't just a quarterback, he's the headline, the ratings juggernaut, the guy who can sneeze on the sideline and still rack up 2 million views on Instagram. Gabriel? He could launch a perfect 70-yard touchdown and ESPN would still cut away to show Shedeur adjusting his wristwatch. That's the hierarchy. And Dillon tried to challenge it, like a Marvel side character thinking he could take down Thanos with a Nerf gun. Fans weren't angry, they were stunned. It was the same disappointment as catching your kid trying to microwave aluminum foil, not fury, just disbelief. Because here's the truth, the Shedeur effect is real. Wherever he goes, the spotlight follows. Stadiums sell out, TV ratings spike, even concession stands thrive because people want to say they ate in the presence of greatness. Going after him is like insulting Beyoncé mid-concert. Congratulations, you've just guaranteed that millions of people will boo your existence forever.
Rent-free in the noggin of the Van Wilder of this sport. You already have justifiers. Roberto shenanigans saying the pick six wasn't on Dillon Gabriel. Oh, you are sorely mistaken, my friend. Here's a guy that's threatened of Sanders, worried about not making the team. And
the funniest part? Gabriel's fans actually tried to defend him. Oh, they really gave it their best shot, pulling out excuses like lawyers in a courtroom. He didn't mean it like that. It was just the heat of the moment. Please. Instead, he came off like the dude who screams at fast food workers for forgetting ketchup packets. Petty, loud, and downright ridiculous. Fans weren't impressed, they were entertained. Not in the way Gabriel wanted, though. He wanted applause and respect, but what he got were laughs, memes, and the kind of internet roasting you don't recover from. He wanted to be the main character, but ended up the clown in someone else's circus. Meanwhile, Shedeur stayed calm, collected, and stylish as ever, watching Gabriel self-destruct with the same energy as someone watching a toddler throw a tantrum in Walmart. He didn't need to clap back, didn't need to lift a finger, because the internet did it for him. Every fan, every commentator, every meme maker lined up like a firing squad and torched Gabriel into oblivion, and honestly, they did it better than Shedeur ever could.
it's just part of it. There's entertainers and there's competitors, and I totally understand that. And my job is to compete, and that's what I'm focused on doing. Of course, we're doing this mid-game, but it's something that I'll get used to, and just want to be the best team that I can and create an environment where we can all go do our best work. That's all we want to do. It's just part of it. There's entertainers and there's competitors, and
I had to hear it again to make sure I heard what I heard.
Let's be real, the timing couldn't have been worse. Shedeur is still the most watched player in college football. His games aren't just games, they're events, almost like mini Super Bowls. People don't even ask, who's Colorado playing? They ask, when is Shedeur on TV? So for Gabriel to go after him was like throwing water balloons at the Pope on Easter Sunday, completely the wrong time and place, and now he looks unhinged in front of millions. And let's not forget, the Sanders family does not play when it comes to Shedeur. Coach Prime? You can picture him sitting back, shades on, drink in hand, thinking, perfect, we're about to make an example out of this one. In that moment, Gabriel basically wrote himself into the history books as the poster boy for bad decisions in sports. But here's the twist. His meltdown only elevated Shedeur even more. Every headline, every debate, every hot take circled right back to Sanders. Nobody was talking about Gabriel's performance, they were all fixated on Shedeur's presence. Gabriel wanted the spotlight, but instead, he turned himself into a flashlight trying to outshine the sun, weak, dim, and completely overlooked.
Dillon Gabriel has found himself in some serious hot water with the Shedeur Sanders fan base, and not just Shedeur fan base, with fans of football all over the country. Now, he was asked about the question that he stated immediately after the game in the press conference because he felt the heat was on, baby.
The memes didn't stop. One showed a fake Gabriel vs. Shedeur UFC poster that read, 90 seconds of career embarrassment. Another turned Gabriel into the crying Jordan meme, clutching a football labeled poor choices. The internet never forgets, and Gabriel's meltdown is now etched onto the timeline like an ugly face tattoo. Shedeur's fanbase isn't just loyal, they're ruthless. He chose the dumbest battle possible, and now he's learning what happens when you swing at a hornet's nest with your bare hands. Even if he threw a game-winning Hail Mary tomorrow, the top reply would still be, yeah, but remember when he disrespected Shedeur? That moment is his legacy now. Gabriel has cast himself as the villain in Shedeur's story. And villains don't get redemption arcs, they get mocked, memed, and remembered as cautionary tales in sports history.
Bah! If I'm Shedeur, I'm like, duck. Direct shot at Shedeur. And I don't know Dillon Gabriel, but I know the dynamics in which he's dealing with. I've told you guys countless times how many teammates I've had, and whether it was me and
Shedeur never had to lift a finger. He just kept playing, kept winning, kept shining. What Gabriel thought might be a defining moment for himself has instead become a permanent low-light reel for Shedeur's fans, a clip they'll replay whenever they need a laugh. If Gabriel's goal was to make a name, well, he succeeded, as the quarterback who tried to take down Shedeur Sanders and ended up face-planting in front of the entire internet. And this won't fade away anytime soon. Every time Shedeur does something iconic, which, let's be honest, is nearly every week, someone will drag Gabriel's meltdown back into the spotlight. That tantrum is now stitched onto Sanders' highlight tape like an embarrassing appendix, a forever cringe reminder of one of the worst PR moves in college football history. The lesson? Shedeur didn't need to clap back. His silence, his presence, his entire brand handled it for him. Meanwhile, Gabriel is left standing in the corner, wondering how he went from quarterback to the punchline of every football joke in America.
I got a hill that I'll be happy dying on alone right here. Y'all do not have to agree with me. I think what he was saying, he's telling the truth. When he says there's entertainers and competitors, I do think he was talking about the media. And honestly, how the fuck can we watch the new media and not agree with what he's saying?
The funniest part about Dillon Gabriel's meltdown is that it wasn't even dramatic enough to seem intentional. If you're going to take a shot at Shedeur Sanders, at least make it bold enough for people to pause and think, okay, that was gutsy. Instead, Gabriel looked like he was auditioning for angry background character in a low-budget sports documentary. Half the crowd couldn't decide whether to boo him or hand him a juice box and tell him to calm down. And that's the thing about Shedeur, he doesn't need to engage in this nonsense. His presence alone is a flex. The man shows up in custom watches with a swagger that screams main character energy, while Gabriel tried to match that by throwing a tantrum. That's like challenging Usain Bolt to a race, but only if it's in potato sacks so you feel like you have a shot. Spoiler, you don't. The stadium reaction said it all. When Gabriel made his move, the gasp wasn't awe, it was confusion. Fans weren't stunned because it was powerful, they were stunned because it was stupid. Like, did he really just try that against him? Shedeur is untouchable. He's the franchise. He's the guy networks shuffle their schedules for. Gabriel? He's lucky if his highlights sneak onto SportsCenter at 2:30 a.m., somewhere between late-night darts and bowling reruns.
We may have a problem down in Cleveland. Rookie QB Dillon Gabriel has heard all the hype about Shedeur Sanders. And he's not only not having it, he's out for blood. Bro had his NFL debut today, and after he played a pretty good game, he decided to take that into the postgame and fire some shots at one Shedeur.
Speaking of slip-ups, let's take a moment to talk about Gabriel's teammates. You can just imagine half the locker room sitting there like, bro, why'd you drag us into this mess? Now the entire squad is caught in the fallout, guilty by association, stuck standing behind a guy who picked the dumbest fight of the year. One reckless comment about Shedeur, and suddenly the whole team looks less like a football program and more like a clown show. The worst part? Gabriel didn't even get anything out of it. If you're going to torch bridges, at least make it worth the flames, grab some clout, land a headline, spin it into a rebel moment. Instead, this just made him look like the kid who flipped the Monopoly board because he couldn't win. No underdog story, no redemption arc, just a steady slide into meme fodder. And those memes? They're multiplying like wildfire. One has Gabriel on stage with a mic, captioned, "When you try to dish Shedeur but end up dissing yourself." Another shows him as the basketball in a dunk contest, with Shedeur throwing him through the rim. The internet's creativity is endless, and Gabriel's helpless against it, because the internet never sleeps, and it lives for a good roast.
When you have Stephen A. Smith, who's supposed to be media, he wants to be bigger than the fucking story and put himself in front of everything. You got niggas who's building their whole careers off hating. Shedeur literally just went up to a nigga last game and said, "Yo, Tony, how come you never write anything good about me?" He was like, "Yo, I do something good every day. You don't write anything good about me." These niggas is no longer media that when we hear the word media, we might think of like what it used to be back in the fucking 1950s and shit, where you got niggas that's trying to crack the code on good stories and just trying to provide as much context and information as possible. That is not what we are.
Even the neutral fans, the ones with no stake in either team, couldn't help but laugh. They tuned in expecting football and instead got a live episode of When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong. You know things are bad when people who don't even like Shedeur Sanders end up siding with him, simply because Gabriel managed to make himself the least likable person in the entire stadium. That takes talent, not the kind you want, but talent all the same, and let's be fair, Gabriel might not have a knack for public relations, but he excels at one thing, turning himself into a walking cautionary tale. Future quarterbacks will be shown the clip in film sessions with the warning, "Rule number 1, don't do this." His blunder will become mandatory viewing in sports psychology classes under How Not to Handle Yourself. He's basically the poster child for "Don't poke the bear," especially when the bear is a Sanders. The kicker? This isn't fading anytime soon. Sports media thrives on drama, and they'll milk this storyline for weeks. Analysts will debate it, podcasts will rant about it, YouTube clips will rack up millions of views, all at Gabriel's expense. He didn't just lose a moment. He lost the narrative. From here on out, his name is stamped onto one of the dumbest decisions in recent college football history.
Here's a litmus test. You ever been on a team? Go grab that team photo. Right now, how many of those guys can you name? Go. Not all of them, for sure. 50%, most people can't. It's because we're not all connected, even though we're all a part of the same thing. So Dillon Gabriel is connected to the Cleveland Browns because he got drafted 3rd round, excited for his opportunity and trying to make the squad. Hours later, they draft another guy who has now taken not only Cleveland, but the whole football world by storm. And now, every time Dillon Gabriel hears his name, he hears Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur, meanwhile, walks away untouched. His brand only gets stronger, his supporters only get louder, and his legend only grows. As for Dillon Gabriel, he leaves with a new title, the guy who tried to pick a fight with Shedeur Sanders and lost before it even began. If self-sabotage had a trophy, Gabriel's name would already be etched on it. The takeaway is simple: you can sound off all you want, but if you're aiming at Shedeur Sanders, you're just setting yourself up for a fall. Gabriel thought he was making a statement, but the only message that landed was, "I enjoy wrecking my own career." From now on, this moment will trail him everywhere, like a bad haircut he can't shake. Shedeur doesn't even have to mention it, the fans, the media, and the endless memes will keep the story alive for him.